Okay, you know what? Just a couple months ago, New York State passed the Marriage Equality Act, finally making it legal for gay people to get married. And my kids are like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's just a few months ago. They're like, gay people couldn't get married here? I was like, no, they weren't allowed to get married here. In fact, in most states in the United States, gay people still can't get married. They're like, no. They can't believe it. They want to know why. I'm like, oh, God. Like, how do I explain that? In like 2 or 3 sentences. I'm not going to try. So I did what many middle school teachers do when they're asked a question and they don't want to answer. I ignored it entirely. It often works, but that time they would not let go. And they get like all riled up about it. And they're like, well, you know what? Like, forget everybody else. Like, we figured it out. New York State has made this law, and that's great. We'll just ignore all the other states. Well, okay, well, that's great, little New Yorkers. Like, the world revolves around you and your city, and that's all that matters. I understand. But maybe we should pay attention to what goes on in other places. For example, let's say you get married. You're a couple of gay people. You get married in New York State. You have a lovely wedding. You register at Barney's. Everybody comes. It's great. And then you have a wonderful life. But a few years in, you decide you're going to move to Ohio. And you get to Ohio, and gay marriage isn't legal there yet. And so, what are you going to do? And they're like, oh, man, that's tough. And then little Annie, like, sits up really straight and raises her hand. She's like, Mr. Palmer, why would anybody move to Ohio? Sorry, Ohio. She said it. So, a few years after that, it's 2015, and I'm actually decided to pivot my career. I decided to move to Denver. I'm going to work on this project out here. It's called Stanley Marketplace. It's a pretty great place. You should all come see it. Thank you. As I'm getting ready to leave this school, where I've been a teacher for 16 years, I'm taking off. They throw a few events for me. One of them's an alumni happy hour. So all these kids that I've taught over the course of the years who are now older than 21 are coming to this bar on the Lower East Side. We're hanging out. They're like, oh, we're going to do shots with Mr. Palmer. Yeah. Okay, why not? So we do that. And then at some point in that night, this kid pulls me aside. It's a kid I haven't seen since 8th grade. His name is William. And he was one of the boys on that trip to Israel in Burger King on Ben Yehuda Street. He's like, Mr. Palmer, I've always wanted to tell you this, but I never have. But I'm gay, and I knew I was gay in middle school, but I never told anybody that, and I was scared to tell anybody that, and I was pretty sure I'd never be able to tell anybody that. But you told us that you were gay in such a casual, kind of funny way that it made me realize that I'd one day be able to do it too. It's like, wow, I'm going to cry in a bar on the Lower East Side. Just did some shots. It didn't help. But thank you. That moment for me, reminded me of some of the reasons I became a teacher in the first place. And sort of one of the reasons I wanted to tell these stories about my progress as a teacher and as a teacher who happens to be gay is for that very reason. I think one of the great things about being a teacher is that you've got the potential every single time you talk to a student to say something or do something that's going to help them be truer to who they are as a human being, not just in that moment, but for years and years and years and years to come. And that's really one of the reasons that I miss being a teacher. It's one of the things that I love about it. It's one of the reasons that I still think it's one of the noblest jobs you can have out there. Thank you.
When one of the kids said that's so gay, he's like, you must mean that's really fabulous, right? Well, what do you mean by that? He challenged him on it and told him he was gay and said, everybody he knows is gay is really cool and creative and fantastic. So
16 years, he's now a small business owner.
Let's not use slurs.
His story is part of Hot for Teacher, a live event and podcast created by Noah Geisel. Geisel himself has been a teacher of Spanish, English, and technology.